Hello, welcome to this episode of Appreciate Dunhuang Online. I'm Lu Shuaiyang. Today we're going to see Cave 428. This cave was built in the Northern Zhou dynasty, the 6th century, and commissioned by Yu Yi, who was governor of the region. It's the largest Northern Dynasty cave in Mogao. This cave is a central pillar cave. The style was based on chaitya, or stupa caves in India. In Mogao, this type of cave usually has a gabled ceiling in the front and a flat ceiling in the back. A square pillar stands in the center with the Buddha niches, which allows worshippers to circumambulate and pray. Mogao caves have almost 30 central pillar caves, but after the 6th century, this type of cave gradually disappeared. The gabled ceiling has painted red rafters with the floral motifs, monkeys, peacocks, and parrots. Apsaras are also depicted in each of 4 corners of the chessboard floral patterns on the flat ceiling at the back of the cave. The murals in this cave are varied and rich in content. There are Jataka tales, several preaching scenes, nirvana, a group of 5 stupas, and Shakyamuni sitting with the Prabhatartana. The paintings on the walls were divided into 3 areas. The upper area is decorated with the molded 1,000 Buddhas. The motif depicts a multitude of Buddhas arranged in great fashion, all seated in meditation on lotus pedestals. Unfortunately, some of the molded Buddhas have fallen off. In the middle are preaching scenes, with the seated Buddhas flanked by bodhisattvas and apsaras. Bodhisattvas are half naked on the upper body and wear skirts on the lower body, standing on each side. Apsaras are the flying celestial beings that accompany Buddhas. Apsara, who originated in India and came to China with Buddhism, played an important role in Chinese art. Nearly 5,000 apsaras exist on Dunhuang wall paintings. These figures are still popular in contemporary China, and they are considered as inspirations for artists. These figures show the early style of apsaras in Dunhuang: stiff, muscular, and unwieldy. The composition and the style of the paintings, as well as the costumes worn by the figures, show the strong influences both from India art and Central Asian art. Many of the figures in the murals also use the shading technique, which originated in India, to achieve a 3-dimensional effect. Even though the colors have oxidized, these figures still look very beautiful and attractive. Fortunately, there are a few figures of color still preserved quite well, giving us ideas of how they used to look. The most fascinating paintings in this cave are on the eastern wall. Mahasattva Jataka. The Jataka tales are stories of Buddha's past lives. This is a great collection of Buddhist moral stories. The story is depicted in 3 registers and in a zigzag sequence. The advantage of this arrangement is that it provides ample space for the detailed depiction of an elaborate story. The 3 princes leaving the king and queen, traveling on horseback, shooting targets in the woods, continuing their journey in the mountains, seeing the starving tigers and thinking about what to do. Mahasattva tells his elder brothers to go home first. Mahasattva lies in front of the tigress. The tigress is too weak to tear into his flesh. Mahasattva stabs himself in the throat until he bleeds. He jumps off the cliff. The tigers, after licking his blood, have enough strength to eat his flesh. The elder brothers come back, wailing at the sight of Mahasattva's skeleton. The elder brothers rush to the palace. The elder brothers tell the king what they just saw. Collect Mahasattva's bones, build a stupa to commemorate him. The characters, costumes, and lifestyle are all Chinese. Landscape and architecture were used to separate the different scenes. Each scene is in an irregular space. The mountains are smaller than the figures, and the buildings have no front walls, so that the figures inside the buildings can be seen. People, scenery, buildings, and perspectives alternate continuously in a most natural and harmonious way. Images of the cave's patrons were painted along the bottom of the 4 walls. According to the donor inscriptions on the eastern wall, this cave may have been sponsored by people throughout the region, including monks, nuns, and government officials. This cave has about 1,200 donor figures, the largest number in Mogao. The Silk Road, linking East and West, fostered multicultural societies along its path. Their influences can be found in the styles of many caves in Mogao. And that is one of the reasons why so many people love Mogao and love Dunhuang. That's all for this cave. Bye-bye.